GM is back. The company forced into bankruptcy less than 18 months ago is making money, and today it is a public company once again after raising some $20 billion in common and preferred shares. GM's turnaround is a good news story for many people, but few more than Michigan Governor Jennifer Granholm. She is with us now from East Lansing, Michigan. Madam Governor, welcome to the Inside Track. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Erik. You bet.
Governor, GM is not a ward of the state anymore. As you know, it's a public company with a fiduciary responsibility. How do you stop GM from doing what is right for shareholders but what is wrong for Michigan?
Well, you know, let me put this into a bit of context. The Center for Automotive Research yesterday came out with a report that said that if the federal government had not stepped in, that America would have lost about 1.4 million jobs. There would have been an economic apocalypse because of the supplier base that would have been devastated, and therefore it would have affected companies across the country, auto companies, whether they're domestic or international companies. So we have been focused in Michigan on, of course, supporting the domestic auto industry and the suppliers, but also diversifying our economy. And today's news is not just great for Michigan, but it's great for America. If we want to have manufacturing in this country, if we want manufacturing to be a backbone of the middle class, we know that we've got to keep it alive, and that means a partnership in making sure that there's a competitive business case for manufacturers to manufacture in this country. So I think that this signals a turnaround for not just Michigan. It's certainly an important step. It's not the only step, but it's an important step. But it's also an important step for America, and a great news day.
Governor, the word partnership raises alarm bells in some quarters. We heard it yesterday from Senator Debbie Stabenow. She used it to describe the IPO and the bailout as a new partnership with industry. You know that there are people out there who listen to the word partnership and think this is going to be the bailout that never ends. We're just going to be giving away tax breaks and grants to GM and Chrysler perhaps from here to eternity. Is that what's going to happen?
Well, I think that we have to be realistic in America about what it's going to take to keep jobs in this country. If we want to have manufacturing in America, and believe me, you know, we have 7 times more automotive manufacturing in Michigan than any other state in the country. So we've been hit 7 times harder than other states. We want to keep jobs. We have to be realistic about what kind of jobs will be able to stay in America. But truly, for our national future, for a critical national need, if we want to be energy independent, if we want to have the ability to manufacture the means for our own national defense, do we want to have manufacturing in this country? And if we do, if we decide that that's an important national need for America, then yeah, there has to be a partnership to ensure that there is a competitive business case, because you better believe that those kind of partnerships are occurring in other countries all across the globe. You don't think that China is significantly partnering to make sure that their businesses are competitive globally? Do you think that Korea is doing the same thing? I mean, you name it, countries are vying for manufacturing, and we got to be in that game too.
Hey, Governor Granholm, Adam Johnson here from Kirby's Coney Island Diner in Warren, Michigan, right across from one of the GM plants. And of course, just today alone, GM announcing it's investing $600 million in India, planning to build more cars in India. So how specifically do you incentivize GM to keep the jobs here and enable manufacturing to happen here more economically than, say, India or China?
Well, I mean, clearly they're going to manufacture in new markets where they will be selling those vehicles. The question is, can we manufacture here competitively for the American market, right? So that's why these states all across the country are vying for this investment. Let me just give you a quick example. You know, this week, the Chevrolet Volt was announced Motor Trend's Car of the Year. Great news for GM. But we partnered with GM to make sure we had a good business case for that car to be manufactured in Michigan. It will be rolling off the assembly line this month, and the batteries that fuel that, the lithium-ion batteries, the advanced batteries, they're going to be made in Michigan. So these companies that are investing in especially breakthrough technology like the battery, you need a partnership to be able to do that, because it's happening across the globe. To commercialize this breakthrough technology, is expensive. And so some sort of low-interest loans, some sort of ability for them to make a competitive business case to locate in America, because otherwise, if we just have completely hands-off, then we are going to see the giant sucking sound of all of these jobs in manufacturing going to places where they can pay 50 cents an hour or $1 a day. We have to be realistic about it. Do we want to manufacture in America? Do we want to keep these jobs here and employ American citizens?
Governor, I'm sorry to just go back to our conversation with the governor of Michigan, Jennifer Granholm. We're talking to her about the implications of GM's IPO. Governor, a question for you about the unions. How are you going to handle this issue? The union members are your constituents. They're the citizens of Michigan, the residents of Michigan. At a certain point, they're going to want more from General Motors and Chrysler. And you know as well as I that as soon as they start asking for more, those companies are going to start thinking about whether those jobs should be in Michigan. How do you handle that question?
Well, first of all, there's new leadership at the UAW, and that leader, Bob King, spoke to all of the management of the auto industry at a big management briefing seminar, and he said that in the 20th century, the old UAW was all about job protection and obviously the rights of the workers. In the 21st century, while that's still important, the most important thing is being a partner with management to ensure global competitiveness and quality to keep jobs in America. So they understand that this is a whole new day, that this is a whole new partnership. Labor is 7% of the cost of an automobile because of the investment in equipment and machining. Productivity increases have been astounding, but you need a level of skill to be able to program the robots, to be able to maintain a robotic line. That's really what the UAW brings. If people are interested in quality and in expertise, they are a partner in making a globally competitive automotive industry.
And one last question for you, Governor, about Ford. Some people are concerned that the playing field will not be level eventually, that because GM and Chrysler got a bailout, Ford is going to be at a disadvantage. You think there's any truth to that?
I think Ford is doing just fine. Ford is doing a great job. Alan Mulally is a terrific leader. He has put that company on the right track. They've done all the right things. I think Ford's going to be just fine.
All right. Governor Jennifer Granholm of Michigan joining us here on the day of General Motors' return to the public markets. Governor, thank you.